Crime, Wine, and Chaos contains adult language and graphic content. Listener discretion is advised.
Keep on keeping on, Chaos Kids. I'm Amber.
And I'm Naomi, and this is Crime, Wine, and Chaos.
It is.
Hi, sister.
Hello, sister. How you be?
How are things?
Things are pretty good. I feel like I haven't seen your face in a long time.
Since the last time we recorded?
Yeah, I guess maybe we're like a day late, so that feels
just a day late and $1 short. You know, the story of our lives.
Story of our ooh, took the words from my mouth. Yeah, that is the story of our lives. What you been doing?
You know, I haven't been doing a lot, actually.
What would you say you do here?
You know, this week was real, like, kind of putsy, keeping on top of the chores and, you know, just being pretty, like, chill, like, homebody, not just chores, but, like, adulty tasks and things like that.
Yeah.
Hanging out in the AC, avoiding the 4th of July,
Same,
you know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, like, we live in King County and I don't live on the outskirts or anything. So, like, I heard, like, literally a handful of fireworks last night from, like, 10:30 to 11:30 or something. And, like, that was it. Barely. Like, barely. When did I ever tell you about when we moved out to Linwood the first summer we lived in Linwood? Have you ever?
No.
Because, like, I don't know what the laws are now, but back then, this was, like, I don't know, what, 15 years ago? Snohomish County, and it might still be true, like, fireworks are legal in Snohomish County. And I'm sure that, like, there's a lot of, like, fudging around that because, like, what's legal and, like, what people actually fire off are, like, two different things, right?
Sure.
But I mean, we were you remember our house in Linwood? We were in, like, a regular neighborhood, just a regular suburban neighborhood. And I was not prepared. I lived in King County my whole life, right? And 4th of July, that first year, I was just blown away. It was just like the whole neighborhood was just smoke filled, and it was just constant firecrackers, fireworks. It literally sounded like a war zone. Literally sounded like there was a war going on outside our house. It was insane and really unsettling.
Yeah. And nobody, that's such a, I'm turning into that old person. I heard a couple last night and I'm like, that's just noise. You're just like, just your neighbor's peace. Stop disturbing my peace.
Not to mention the environment, the insects, the animals, like domesticated or otherwise, who are all just like completely, bothered and terrified and affected by, you know what I mean? It's
I do know.
All of that. All of that.
Yeah.
We survived the 4th of July. I know. I mean, or just like.
Get off my lawn.
I think it's less that for me and more like compassionate and empathetic and considerate person as I get older.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, you know?
Yeah.
Thinking about more than just myself.
Sure. Yeah.
I know a lot of people talk every year about, like, there's a lot of people, especially veterans who have PTSD, and this is really, really triggering for them. Like, there's just a lot of reasons why, like, just setting off like mortars in your neighborhood is not it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean. That's not the vibe. For sure.
It's not the vibe we want to bring to the function.
God damn.
What's going on with you?
So yeah, I've just been catching up on sleep. I've been doing a lot of sleeping.
That's amazing.
Look, I'm really trying. And I'm, I know that like medically they say that that's not a thing, but I reject that. I think that you can.
I think so too.
I'm going to try. So that's what I've been doing. You'd be really proud. I have let chores go. I'm just trying to prioritize self-care a little bit. I'm dipping my toe into it. I know.
I am so proud of you. You're like, I know. You see my face. It's like, oh,
is
sister.
Like, you've gotten her boobies. Yeah. Oh, man.
So good. So good. What are you drinking, sister?
Thank you for asking. I can't pronounce it.
Great.
It's a Pinot Grigio, and it is from San Cislato. Nailed it. It's very good. Pinot Grigio. I have a couple of shouty outies.
Yes. Well, I know we have a new Chaos Kids Club member, sort of.
We do. We have a new, well, no, we do. This is, yeah, she's overpaying. We're going to get to the bottom of that. Kelly Lynn.
Kelly Lynn.
Cool name.
Welcome to the club.
Ooh.
Yes.
And then we got a message from our other recent Chaos Kid who I think I named Amber because I wanted her to be, to let us know that her name is pronounced Ambry.
Ambry. Oh, that's lovely.
Nice. That is
I'm really
lovely.
glad she heard us and she knew that we weren't trying to be assholes and she responded and let us know. Thank you, Ambry. That's
you.
Nice.
And then we also got a really nice review on Apple from Carissa.
We did?
Yeah. We met her
missed
at
it.
wine night.
We did. Oh, that's right. That's right. I have to go look now. You can't. Oh, you know why? Because I did a bunch of cleanup on my phone and I offloaded the Apple Podcast app because it was, apps take up the most space in your storage on your phone,
Yeah.
That was a cleanup that I did. So
you literally have a podcast and you offloaded the podcast app. I feel like there was
because
other apps that you could have offloaded.
No, I mean, I listen to podcasts on Spotify, not on Apple. This is not an endorsement, you guys. Where is it? I don't even know where to start. These sisters are the best! ! Educated and interactive. I have a hard time waiting every week for a new episode to drop. These are my people. Yes! That's what we're looking for. We're looking for our people. So thank you, Carissa. That's absolutely lovely. Sister.
Yeah.
Did we do it all? Did we get the shouties?
Yeah. You got a crime for me? Their shouties are outie. They've been released.
Okay, I have a crime for you.
Ruh-roh. That looks like you're about to drop your own M80.
Well, I'm going to tell you about Marcellus Williams.
Okay.
But first we're going to talk about Felicia. So Felicia Gale Picus, known to her friends and family as Leisha, was a newspaper reporter for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Leisha was born and grew up in Rockford, Illinois. She graduated from the University of Illinois with a degree in journalism and started working for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch in 1981 and left in 1992 to pursue philanthropy and volunteer work. Leisha was married to Dr. Daniel Picus, a radiologist at Barnes Jewish Hospital. I suspect that her pivot from her journalism career into philanthropy and volunteer work had to do with the fact that she married a doctor.
Yeah.
I'm just guessing.
Yeah. I mean, it's a privilege to pivot into unpaid work. Yes.
Yes, exactly. So the two lived in a home in a gated community in University City, which is a suburb of St. Louis, which is in Missouri. For those who aren't in the States, Missouri is a state in the southern United States. Daniel and Leisha had actually known each other since they were kids in Rockford.
Cute.
On August 11th of 1998, Daniel arrived home around 8 p.m. where he discovered Leisha, 42 years old at the time, laying at the bottom of the stairs, one of their kitchen knives lodged in her neck.
Oh, God.
While she was home alone that day, someone broke into the house and murdered her. The autopsy would later show that Leisha was stabbed 43 times. 7 of those stab wounds were fatal.
Fuck, 43 times. God.
Several items were also missing from the home, including Leisha's jacket and purse and Daniel's old Apple laptop. Although I also read somewhere else that plenty of other valuables were still in the house, including $400 in cash that was not taken.
Weird.
The crime scene was processed and contained a lot of physical evidence. The murderer left behind footprints in the pools of Leisha's blood. There were fingerprints and hair, and most crucially, DNA on the knife he used to kill her. At first, police thought that Leisha's murder was because of a botched robbery. it looked a lot like a similar break-in and murder that had happened in another home not too far from Leisha and Daniel just a few weeks prior. And at that murder scene, the murder weapon was also left protruding from the victim's body.
God, but stabbing is so personal, and 43 times is like rage.
Right?
Yeah. Okay.
Months went by, though, and despite all the evidence collected, police had no leads, and the investigation started to fizzle out.
Mm-hmm.
When Leisha's family finally got frustrated with the lack of forward movement in finding her murderer in May of 1999, they put up a $10,000 reward for information leading to an arrest and conviction in the case.
Mm-hmm.
And that is when Henry Cole and Laura Asaro showed up with information.
Okay.
Henry was the first to contact the cops. Henry, who had a very long rap sheet under his belt, told police that a man by the name of Marcellus Williams had confessed to him that he had murdered Leisha. This came up during a conversation the two had while they were both in jail on unrelated charges. The second person to inform on Williams was a woman named Laura Asaro, who also had a criminal record and at the time was facing solicitation charges. Laura had been in a brief relationship of sorts with Marcellus. According to these two witnesses, the prosecutors would set forth in trial the following outline of events. On August 11th, 1998, Williams drove I'm reading, this is directly from the court document.
Okay.
Williams drove his grandfather's Buick LeSabre to a bus stop and caught a bus to University City. Once there, he began looking for a house to break into. Williams came across the home of Felicia Gale. He knocked on the front door, but no one answered. Williams then knocked out a window pane near the door, reached in, unlocked the door, and entered Gale's home. He went to the second floor and heard water running in the shower. It was Gale. Williams went back downstairs, rummaged through the kitchen, found a large butcher knife, and waited. Gale left the shower and called out, asking if anyone was there. She came down the stairs. Williams attacked, stabbing and cutting Gale 43 times, inflicting 7 fatal wounds. Afterwards, Williams went to an upstairs bathroom and washed off. He took a jacket and put it on to conceal the blood on his shirt. Before leaving, Williams placed Gale's purse and her husband's laptop computer and black carrying case in his backpack. The purse contained, among other things, a St. Louis Post-Dispatch ruler and a calculator. Williams left out the front door and caught a bus back to the Buick. After returning to the car, Williams picked up his girlfriend, Laura Asaro. Asaro noticed that despite the summer heat, Williams was wearing a jacket. When he removed the jacket, Asaro noticed that Williams' shirt was bloody and that he had scratches on his neck. Williams claimed he had been in a fight. Later in the day, Williams put his bloody clothes in his backpack and threw them into a sewer drain, claiming he no longer wanted them. Asaro also saw a laptop computer in the car. A day or two after the murder, Williams sold the laptop to Glenn Roberts. The next day, Asaro went to retrieve some clothes from the trunk of the car. Williams did not want her to look in the trunk and tried to push her away. Before he could, Asaro snatched a purse from the trunk. She looked inside and found Gale's Missouri state identification card and a black coin purse. Asaro demanded that Williams explain why he had Gale's purse. Williams then confessed that the purse belonged to a woman he had killed. He explained in detail how he went into the kitchen, found a butcher knife, and waited for the woman to come out of the shower. He further explained that when the woman came downstairs from the shower, he stabbed her in the arm and then put his hand over her mouth and stabbed her in the neck, twisting the knife as he went. After relaying the details of the murder, Williams grabbed Asaro by the throat and threatened to kill her, her children, and her mother if she told anyone.
Wow. Okay.
On August 31st, 1998, Williams was arrested on unrelated charges and incarcerated at the St. Louis City Workhouse. From April until June 1999, Williams shared a room with Henry Cole. One evening in May, Cole and Williams were watching television and saw a news report about Gail's murder. Shortly after the news report, Williams told Cole that he had committed the crime. Over the next few weeks, Cole and Williams had several conversations about the murder. As he had done with Laura Asaro, Williams went into considerable detail about how he broke into the house and killed Gail. After Cole was released from jail in June 1999, he went to the University City Police and told them about Williams' involvement in Gail's murder. He reported details of the crime that had never been publicly reported. In November of 1999, University City Police approached Asaro to speak with her about the murder. Asaro told the police that Williams admitted to her that he had killed Gail. The next day, the police searched the Buick LeSabre and found the Post-Dispatch ruler and calculator belonging to Gail. The police also recovered the laptop computer from Glenn Roberts. The laptop was identified as the one stolen from Gail's residence.
Okay, I'm waiting for the twist. Shyamalan twist.
To be clear, there was no direct evidence presented against Marcellus in his trial to support any element of this scenario that the prosecutors laid out. No eyewitnesses, no fingerprints, no bloodstains or DNA. The murder took place in daylight inside a gated community, but none of the neighbors could identify Marcellus as being in the private subdivision at the time of the killing. There was no evidence that Marcellus knew Leisha or had a motive to rob or kill her, or that he had any familiarity with her gated neighborhood. The hairs found on Leisha's body didn't match the hair samples taken from Marcellus. There were bloody footprints left at the scene, but they weren't Marcellus's size.
So all they have is that he's got her stuff in his trunk.
Supposedly, yes.
Okay.
Unfortunately, despite the fact that the only evidence the prosecution had was the testimony of Henry and Laura and Glenn Roberts, who had purchased the recovered laptop from Marcellus, the jury would return with a guilty verdict after a mere 2 hours of deliberations, including their lunch break. And on August 27th, 2001, Marcellus Williams would be sentenced to death.
Shit. Okay.
And so would begin a decades-long battle for Marcellus Williams to be cleared of this crime and released. Marcellus has always maintained his innocence and has been appealing this verdict and this sentence ever since. Just to start, during the trial, the judge had refused to allow testing of the DNA evidence found at the scene.
What the fuck? Okay, that's pretty basic, but okay.
It was also not revealed to the jury that Glenn Roberts told police that Marcellus told him that he'd gotten the laptop from Laura. Then there was Henry and Laura, both of which were not really credible witnesses, and both of them stood to benefit from their testimonies, which changed over time and sometimes conflicted with each other. Beyond giving them the name of Marcellus, Henry did not have any information that would be considered new information. Everything he told them had already been widely reported on TV and the newspaper coverage of the murder. He was also the reason the cops went to Laura for information, as Henry had given police her name as someone who would have information for them.
Right.
Henry was a longtime drug user who'd battled addictions to both crack cocaine and heroin, had been in and out of psych wards and on and off psych meds for years. Before testifying against Marcellus, he admitted that the drugs left him with a shoddy memory and made him prone to hallucinations.
Oh, God.
Henry's testimony evolved to fit the prosecution's theory of the case, but still contained numerous contradictions and fabrications. For example, Henry originally said Marcellus confessed to him after reading a story on the murder in the St. Louis Dispatch. But at trial, Henry testified Marcellus opened up to him after watching a story on the case on the 6 o'clock news. Henry told the police that Marcellus said he took a shirt from the house, but at trial, he testified Marcellus said he took a sweater. Neither a shirt nor a sweater were missing from the house.
And also there was a jacket, right?
Right.
Okay.
In his police interviews, Henry never mentioned anything about Marcellus wearing gloves, but he later testified that Marcellus told him he wasn't worried about leaving fingerprints because he wore gloves during the break-in and murder.
Mm-hmm.
Bloody fingerprints were found at the scene, but they weren't identified as belonging to Marcellus. Henry said that Marcellus told him he targeted Leisha's place because a large tree in front of the house shielded the front door and porch. There was a tree in the front yard of the house, but it didn't block the view of the porch or the front door. Henry claimed that Marcellus told him he went upstairs where he snatched Lisa's purse and the laptop, but Daniel told police that Leisha kept her purse in the kitchen closet on the first floor.
This is so okay. This is so botched. I hope this guy's released. I hate wrongful convictions so much.
I know. Me too, sister. Mm-hmm. Even more damning of Henry as a credible witness was his own family. His nephew later told investigators for the St. Louis DA that, quote, everyone in the family knew that Henry made up the story about Marcellus committing the Felicia Gale homicide because he wanted the money and wanted to leave town and go to New York. In fact, Henry didn't come forward with his ever-changing story until there was reward money on the table. And before talking to the cops, he asked the detectives, quote, ain't no way I can get any kind of money at all up front.
Oh my God. He wants reward money up front? Wow.
Yep.
That should be the first red flag.
And he admitted in a 2001 deposition that he would not have come forward at all if he hadn't been rewarded for his testimony with the $5,000 he was given by the prosecution.
Wow.
After his testimony, Henry continued to be treated very generously by the state of Missouri. In 2006, he pled guilty to the armed robbery of a bank. His sentence of 10 years in prison was suspended, and he was ordered to serve 4 years on probation. He had contracted HIV and was desperate to stay out of prison, telling prosecutors, quote, if I go to prison, I will surely die. And even though Henry violated the terms of his parole 16 times, he was never sent back to jail.
What the fuck?
Then there was Laura.
Mm-hmm.
She also told the cops and the prosecutors multiple versions of her story, several of them inconsistent with the previous versions, while also being inconsistent with the statements of Henry.
God.
Laura Asaro was a longtime police snitch whose truthfulness had been repeatedly questioned by the cops who ran her as an informant. Laura had lied about her own arrest record in a sworn deposition. She also claimed that Marcellus had scratches on his neck and face in the days after the murder, although no biological evidence was recovered from beneath Leisha's fingernails.
That's right. What the fuck? Also, lying about your arrest record on a deposition, they have it right there.
Right?
What are you doing? Okay. God.
When Laura didn't want to testify, the prosecutors threatened to charge her with obstruction. Later, Laura told a neighbor that she also had been paid for her testimony.
This is some shady shit. Paying people for testimony? Wow. Okay.
There were many holes and discrepancies in Laura's testimony that should have discredited her. Laura said Marcellus told her he entered the house through the back door, but the window pane of the front door had been broken, giving access to the door's deadbolt. This is also inconsistent with Henry, who said Marcellus told him he'd picked that house because the tree obscured the front porch.
Mm-hmm.
Laura said Marcellus claimed he'd rinsed the knife in the bathroom after he stabbed Leisha, but the knife was not cleaned and was left in Leisha's body.
Oh, shit. I missed that one. Yeah. What? Oh, my God. Okay.
Laura said Marcellus told her that Leisha was wearing a bathrobe when he murdered her, but she was wearing only a purple shirt. Laura claimed Marcellus told her that he had to hide after he murdered Leisha because a neighbor stopped by the house, but police interviewed neighbors as part of their investigation, and no one said that they had gone to Leisha and Daniel's house that day. Laura told police that she had informed her mother about Marcellus's alleged confession, but when the police interviewed Laura's mother, she said she knew nothing about it.
Wow.
Many studies have shown that jailhouse confessions are a leading cause of wrongful convictions in the U.S. A study by the Center on Wrongful Conviction shows that in death penalty cases nationally, false testimony from jailhouse informants had taken place in 49.5% of trials, leading to wrongful convictions since 1971.
Shit, that's a high percentage.
That's like half. That's like half.
Fuck, yeah.
In Missouri, 11 of the 54 individuals exonerated were convicted in trials that presented testimony from jailhouse informants. And Marcellus's underfunded trial lawyers didn't help his case by failing to call witnesses to poke holes in the credibility of Laura and Henry, despite there being many holes and contradictions in their testimony.
Yeah.
As if all of this wasn't infuriating enough, Marcellus, a black man accused of murdering a white woman, had a jury of 11 white people and 1 black person on his trial.
That is not a jury of your peers.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
The prosecutors on his case had been involved in at least 2 other wrongful convictions in death penalty cases and aggressively excluded black people from the jury.
God, this is fucking gross.
During jury selection, the prosecution used 6 of its 9 peremptory challenges to exclude black jurors. In one instance, the prosecutor claimed he struck a black potential juror because he, quote, looked very similar to Marcellus.
Ew, fuck off.
In another instance, the prosecutor said he rejected a black man for the jury because he worked for the post office and alleged that postal workers tend to be very liberal.
What?
He later approved a white post office employee for the jury, though.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Marcellus's first execution date was in 2015, lethal injection. In appeals, his defense produced evidence that DNA taken from the knife at the scene revealed an unknown male profile that did not match the DNA of Marcellus. 3 separate DNA experts agreed on this assessment.
Mm-hmm.
Then his execution was rescheduled for August 22nd, 2017. Questions continued to be raised as the state Supreme Court would not hear the new DNA evidence or stay this new execution date.
Is it even new DNA evidence? Because there's not any old DNA evidence. The judge wouldn't allow it. It's just DNA evidence.
It's new evidence that is DNA evidence. Yes.
God damn it.
The prosecutor said they were confident in the case despite the DNA. Governor Eric Greitens issued a stay of execution at the very last minute on August 22nd, 2017.
Wow.
Marcellus had already eaten his last meal.
Oh, God, this poor man.
And then the governor initiated a board of inquiry to examine the new DNA evidence along with other aspects of the case.
Mm-hmm.
The board was made up of 5 retired federal judges. And apparently this board just never finished what they started. From what I can tell, they subpoenaed both prosecution and defense and was scheduled to meet with the state and defense attorneys in June of 2018, the same month that Governor Greitens resigned. The DNA and new analysis suggested that another man was a suspect in this murder. The board had hearings in August of 2018 and was supposed to have a conclusion sent to the new governor, Mike Parsons, so he could make a decision, but they never did.
What?
Because then he dissolved the panel of judges in June of 2023.
What?
Without ever receiving their report, and he lifted the stay on Marcellus's execution.
No.
He said it was time for the court to make a decision. It should be noted that Mike Parsons is a right-wing conservative, a former sheriff, and that the dissolution of that panel was without warning or legal justification. He said, quote, "This board was established nearly 6 years ago, and it is time to move forward. We could stall and delay for another 6 years, deferring justice, leaving a victim's family in limbo and solving nothing. This administration won't do that."
Dude, this is somebody's life.
Yeah. Then the state attorney general asked the state Supreme Court to set a date for Marcellus's execution. In August of 2023, Marcellus's attorneys at the Midwest Innocence Project filed a lawsuit charging that the disbanding of the board before it had issued its report violated Missouri state law and their clients' constitutional rights. They also submitted that the St. Louis County prosecuting attorney is on record as stating he has convincing evidence of Marcellus's innocence.
Whoa.
When the Cole County Court sided with Marcellus, the governor demanded that the Missouri Supreme Court take up the case.
Mm-hmm.
On January 26, 2024, the St. Louis County Prosecuting Attorney Wesley Bell filed a motion in the St. Louis County Circuit Court asking the court to vacate Marcellus Williams' death sentence. A 2021 Missouri law allows a prosecutor to intervene where there is information suggesting a convicted person may be innocent. He cited potential, quote, ineffective assistance of counsel, apparent bias in jury selection, and potential weakness of the police investigation. He asked the court for a hearing to consider the new evidence and other aspects of the investigation and trial. The new evidence consisted of a special prosecutor's review of the case, including the findings of those 3 independent DNA experts who unanimously concluded that the male DNA on the murder weapon did not belong to Marcellus.
Right.
It's worth taking a moment here to point out that the Missouri Attorney General's office refuses to consider DNA evidence as exculpatory in cases where a death sentence has already been imposed.
That's literally what most overturned death sentences are hinged on. What do you mean?
Well, clinging to U.S. Supreme Court Judge Antonin Scalia's opinion that evidence of innocence isn't enough to overturn a legal conviction.
What?
The state of Missouri has repeatedly argued that evidence of innocence isn't a justification for stopping an execution.
It literally, oh my God.
The state's position, which it still holds, was made explicit in the 2003 case of Joseph Armine, a Black man wrongfully convicted based on jailhouse testimony of killing another inmate in the recreation room of the Jefferson City Correctional Center. Even though the witnesses against him recanted their testimony, the state of Missouri argued before the Supreme Court that Armine should still be executed because his arguments had failed in the lower courts, which had refused to consider the recantations. This prompted Supreme Court Justice Laura Denvere Steith to ask Assistant Attorney General Frank Jung, quote, "Are you suggesting, even if we find that Mr. Armine is actually innocent, he should be executed?" "That is correct, Your Honor," Jung replied.
Oh my God.
Fortunately, the court ruled 4-3 in Joseph Armine's favor, and his conviction was overturned, but not before he had spent nearly a third of his life behind bars for a crime he didn't commit. So, D.A. Bell asked the Missouri Supreme Court and the state attorney general's office to hold off on setting an execution date while the circuit court considered his motion. They ignored him, and on June 4th, 2024, Marcellus was again scheduled to be executed on September 24th, 2024. This is all happening right now.
Yeah.
According to the Innocence Project, the Missouri Attorney General's office has opposed every innocence case for the last 30 years, including every attempt made by a local prosecutor to overturn a conviction on the basis of innocence.
Shit.
The former prosecutor in Marcellus's case also shrugged off the DNA evidence, telling CBS News, quote, "There's no chance he's innocent."
Oh.
Marcellus is 55 years old and has been in prison on death row for 23 years. He has been a model prisoner with very few infractions. He is a practicing Muslim and serves as the imam for the Muslim prisoners. Marcus is widely respected within the prison community and beyond. He is also a poet. He wrote his first poem when he was about 14 for a girl that he was sweet on while growing up in St. Louis. He wrote it in pencil on a sheet of paper and gave it to her. He's written a lot more since being incarcerated. Sometimes he writes a poem for a specific person, which he gives to them as a gift, often without saving a copy for himself. Other times he has an issue or a word in mind which inspires him. He keeps a dictionary on hand. He writes on all kinds of things, from politics to AI to the murder of George Floyd. On July 2nd, 2024,
3 days ago?
3 days ago, a Missouri judge set a date for August 21st, 2024, for a hearing to determine if Marcellus Williams is innocent, just barely a month before he is scheduled to be executed. Typically, the judge takes several weeks to weigh the evidence after the hearing ends, so it's not clear if the judge will rule on the innocence claim before the execution date, which means it's possible that Missouri could execute a man later deemed innocent by a judge.
Mm-hmm.
The Innocence Project has a petition to stop Marcellus's execution in September that, as of today, has over 100,000 signatures. I will link it in the show notes so that everyone can go and sign that petition.
Okay. Oh, God. What the fuck?
That's really why I had to tell this story. I don't normally tell these stories either because these ones drive me fucking batty. I can't.
Yeah. Have they, in testing the DNA evidence that was there and it's not his, has it been ran through CODIS? Are there any hits?
I don't know. Every instance where I read about it was unknown male DNA. So I don't know. It sounds like no. Or maybe it hasn't been run through CODIS because this is all being done independently.
Right. And I wonder if anybody of the victim's family is also thinking that he's innocent, because they're hinging a lot of this argument on like justice for the victims. But do we know if they're like, wait a minute, you know?
I did not read anything about them either. And I always think about that too, because it's like, do we want someone to die for what happened, or do we want justice? Because justice isn't just we pinned it on somebody and they're going to take the fall. Justice is we found the actual person who did this.
Right.
And brought them to justice.
Right.
And if the man that is on death row for this murder is innocent, then that murderer has spent 23 years walking free.
Mm-hmm.
That's not justice.
No, it's absolutely
for
not.
anyone. That's not justice for anyone.
Nope. Oh, God.
My jaw hit the floor though when I read that about innocence not being enough to keep us from this, keep the state from murdering people. That's
disgusting. I don't even understand that sentence. That's literally, wow.
That's the kind of lawyering, wordsmithing bullshit that gets you things like enhanced interrogation technique instead of torture. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my God. Wow. Well, I hated that.
You're welcome.
I didn't say thank you. Oh my
I was writing it the whole time and I was like, I'm so fucking mad, and I'm gonna get mad all over again when I tell it to Amber, and Amber's gonna be mad, and all the chaos kids are gonna be fucking mad. We're all just mad now. We're all mad.
Get mad and sign the petition.
That's right. Go sign the petition, you guys.
Oh man. I stay clear of wrongful conviction cases, mostly because you have told me how upsetting they are to you. They're upsetting to me too.
They are upsetting. They're very upsetting.
I feel like you just did me dirty, but it's okay.
I normally wouldn't have, but like it came up on my radar and I saw that it was like, no, this is something that's actively happening, that has a petition active right now. Like this person is like, their life is on the line, literally right fucking now. Like we're at the end of the fucking line.
Yeah.
So sorry.
No, it's okay. Let's shake it off. so we can lump on a little bit more doom and gloom and have room for it.
Right. Oh, is that what you have, a doom and gloom chaos for us?
I mean, it's doomish gloomish.
Okay. I just want it duly noted that like you were like, I felt like you were giving me some kind of side eye for a while because my chaos stories were doomy and gloomy for a while. And so I gave you Rael. And then the very next week you come in with another doomy gloomy.
Listen, I gave you the shag. I feel like that's got me covered for a while.
You know what? Do not rest on your laurels, sister.
That's all I have. Okay.
Give it to me.
All right, we're going to talk about a phenomenon, if you will, a theory called the July effect in the medical field. Okay. The July effect refers to the fresh batch of interns that report to the hospital on July 1st, which means there will be people working for the first time in patient care as doctors after completing medical school. And the theory being that patients going into the hospital at this time are at more risk for misdiagnosis and mishaps due to the inexperienced staff.
Oh, shit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like it's not called the July theory. It's called the July effect for a reason.
Yeah. We've been affected here. So
this is documented, you guys.
Yeah. So let's talk about Stacy Seltzer. So it was a few weeks after her wedding when she realized that she had missed her period. She had been told for many years that she was unable to have children, and she and her husband were totally fine with that. But she took a pregnancy test and it came back positive. So she and her husband had both just started new jobs, and Stacy says that she initially wasn't really excited about this news. She was like,
fair.
Row.
I mean, fair. I wasn't super excited about my news either.
Were you trying to get pregnant though?
No.
Oh, you had an oopsie poopsie?
No, Sebastian is the poster child for all it takes is one time without a condom. I love my son so much. He is the apple of my eye. He is the best thing I've ever done in this world, by far, heads and shoulders, far and away. But it's okay to have mixed feelings or even negative feelings about finding out you're pregnant. It's
True.
okay.
Yep,
that's
absolutely.
so normal. That's
absolutely
so fucking normal.
Yeah. So they're like not vibing at first, but as the weeks go on, they both warm up to the idea and they start getting excited about becoming parents. So one morning, a few weeks into the pregnancy, Stacy and her husband leave their house to take their Great Dane for a walk like they do every morning. And they only get a few feet from their house when Stacy starts feeling an extremely sharp pain in the side of her abdomen. She said it felt like she was being stabbed. So she told her husband that she was going to go back to the house because she wasn't feeling well. And as soon as she got in the door, she broke out into a cold sweat. She said that her clothes are like completely soaked and her entire body is freezing cold.
Oh no.
Sounds terrible.
It sounds awful.
Yeah.
And I'm doing the thing where it's like, this is like, are you presenting me with a medical mystery or is this just like pregnancy stuff? Because I also know that certain cancers will give you a positive pregnancy test. Because
really?
Did you know that?
God. No.
It has to do with the hormone, the HCL, I think is what it is. Your HCL is the hormone that like goes through the roof, which is that's what a pregnancy test tests for. But that can also happen when you have certain kinds of cancers.
Weird. God, talk about a roller coaster of emotions.
Right?
Especially if you're trying and you're like, yeah, I'm pregnant. Oh no, it's just cancer. Fuck. That's terrible. My God.
Just FYI. Anyway, so poor girl, poor woman. She's cold sweats, clothes are soaked. Okay.
So she goes into the bathroom initially thinking that she's going to be sick. She waits for her husband to get home. When he gets home, he takes her from the bathroom to the couch so she can rest. And Stacy assumes that she's possibly having a miscarriage.
Totally.
Yeah. So she lays there sort of going in and out of consciousness, not knowing that she was having an ectopic pregnancy and she was slowly bleeding to death.
Oh no. One of my besties went through that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. She's a Chaos Kids Club member.
Oh God. It sounds so
I don't want to. It's dangerous.
Yeah. Yes. So, in case those of you who don't know, myself included until I did this, an ectopic pregnancy is when the egg gets fertilized in the fallopian tube rather than the uterus. And as the embryo gets bigger, it can rupture the fallopian tube.
Yep.
Ouch. So that's what the sharp stabbing pain was that Stacy felt, was her fallopian tube bursting. So as she's lying there, she suddenly feels like she needs to use the bathroom. But when she gets up, she immediately collapses. Her husband calls 911, and when the paramedics arrive, all the veins in her body have collapsed.
Because she's bleeding out internally.
Yes. She's taken to the hospital and rushed into surgery. They remove the fetus and portions of her fallopian tube. She's given 7 pints of blood. She stays in the hospital for 5 days, and she eventually is able to go home to recover. So, after all this, Stacy starts to process the emotional pain of what she'd been through, and she realizes that she really did want to be a mother. So she's a little bit hopeful knowing that getting pregnant is a possibility for her.
Sure.
So Stacy and her husband, Jason, focus on her physical and emotional healing. And once she is well, they travel and spend time together and decide to just enjoy being a married couple for a while. Like, let's just vibe. By the following spring, so this is 2012, Stacy says she's starting to feel like herself again. So her and Jason revisit the idea of having kids. So it's June 30th, and Stacy has a weekend planned with her friends. They are coming into town. They're all going to go to the Kenny Chesney concert, and Stacy goes to a wine tasting the night before the concert. But when she wakes up the following morning, she isn't feeling well. And as the day progresses and it's getting closer to the concert time, she starts feeling a stabbing pain in her abdomen.
Oh my God.
Again, she breaks out into a cold sweat. And this time she tells her husband right away that she needs to go to the hospital.
Okay, hold on. Sorry, time out. Because if this is another ectopic pregnancy, I just got to say, like, they're not that common. It is so fucking rare.
It's not that.
Oh, okay. Because I'm like, well, this is like lightning striking twice. You know what I'm saying? Like, Jesus.
Totally. Totally. Oh my God. Yeah. So she gets there to the ER. She's not initially treated very well. She said she felt like she was being treated as if she was like drug seeking at first. She's left in the waiting room for quite some time where she's vomiting. They finally get her in for a CAT scan, and they find that she has a partial bowel obstruction.
Okay.
So from reading the CAT scan, this doctor diagnoses her with Crohn's disease. With Crohn's disease, scar tissue will build up due to damage in the intestines and will sometimes create a blockage. So they admit her to the hospital to keep an eye on her, but the protocol is just to wait for the blockage to resolve on its own. So she's in the hospital. It's July 1st. She has a bunch of Doogie Housers looking after her. And on top of that...
Except the Doogie Howser was like a genius, right? Like that was the whole thing?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
It's
and on
more
top,
like Meredith Grey, like season 1 is what's happening.
Yes. Totally. Meredith Grey season 1 comes in. Yes, that's exactly right.
Yes.
Oh my God. On top of that, most of the senior doctors are heading out for the 4th of July holiday.
Of course.
They're going to go blow shit up.
This is how they plan it. They bring in the fucking residents, the brand new baby intern doctor residents on the 1st of July, and then start checking out because it's like 4th of July holiday weekend.
Right?
Every year they do this. Like,
Apparently.
what are we doing?
Well, I guess just make sure that you don't get admitted to a teaching hospital in July. I don't know. I don't know how to get around this.
Or they could just start the interns on like the 6th instead of the 1st.
No shit. Okay, so they've got baby doctors. Senior doctors are like, deuces, we're going to go do fireworks. So she said she had a doctor after doctor coming in with different opinions and treatment plans and different diagnoses. And there didn't seem to be any plan in place for her.
That sounds right.
Yeah. Her GI surgeon comes in, tells her it's Crohn's disease. Just let the acid build up, calm down, and let everything pass through your intestines and you'll be fine. And I'm going on vacation. I'm leaving you in the care of the interns. Bye-bye. Take care, cutie. Best wishes, thoughts and prayers. So, God. And the first oopsie daisy is Stacy isn't given any pain meds.
At all?
They overlooked that until finally a nurse comes in and is like, what the fuck? This woman needs pain meds. Okay. The nurses are the saving grace, apparently, in the month of July.
The nurses are the real fucking heroes. Always. The nurses are always the heroes. Let's be fucking real. Let's be so fucking for real about this.
Yeah. Nurse comes in. She's like, this won't do. Let's get you some meds. Stacy gets an NG tube put in, which goes from the nose to the stomach, and she's not allowed to have any food or drink. They're waiting for her bowels to clear. Okay. 4 days into her hospital stay, they believe that she is starting to show signs that the obstruction is getting better, so they remove the NG tube. She is told that she will just stay on her pain meds and just wait it out.
Which I know that sounds like ludicrous. Like, why aren't they going in there? But surgery is, no matter what, is always worse. Like, no matter what, surgery is traumatic on the body. And if they can avoid it, they will. If they're a good doctor, they'll avoid it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm just...
Oh, I know. Although,
Okay.
again, similarly to like when science has advanced, like utilize it. There's a way. We'll get to it. It's part of the story.
Great. Okay.
So that night, her husband is sleeping at the hospital with her, and Stacy is awoken in the middle of the night by a nurse who hands her a pamphlet, and the nurse is crying. And the pamphlet was instructions on how to complain about the quality of care. And this was because the chief resident, the chief baby, who was in charge while the baby chief.
Besties with boss baby.
Yes. God. Fucking Stewie. Stewie from Family Guy is over there. Oh my God. God.
King of the baby interns.
Oh, wait. What was it again? Small King? What was it? What is it?
Oh my God. I'm dying.
Okay.
Short King.
Ooh. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So, Chief Baby comes in, or no,
Well,
crying nurse comes in and tells her, Chief Baby
has decided to take her off her pain meds, and he has done this from his laptop at home. So she can no longer administer them.
Oh, for
Mhm.
God's sake.
So Stacy's laying there with her bowels still obstructed in excruciating pain as administrators come in and out of her room, like apologizing. That's not a good sign.
Mm-hmm.
She finally gets her NG2 put back in when they realize that the obstruction isn't clearing up. And a few days later, the GI surgeon is back from vacation. Like, hey, girl, hey, with a tan. And God.
Wearing like some puka shells.
No shit. She puts a lei over Stacy. Uh-huh. And she's shocked to see that Stacy is still in the hospital. Also meaning that she wasn't actually checking in on her patients while she was out.
Right.
You know, whatever. So Stacy ended up going 9 days straight without any nutrients into her body. 9 days without the NG tube. NG tube is out. We're waiting for the obstruction to pass. Pain med's gone. Just lay there.
What the fuck?
Yeah. So she eventually gets scheduled for surgery, and it's supposed to be laparoscopic, just to see what they can see is going on in there, right?
Exploratory surgery.
Correct. I know. Mm-hmm. Stacy tells her husband, please don't let me get cut back open, because the last time she had her stomach cut open, it was a very long and very painful healing process. So
it's big. That's a big mamma jamma. Going through the abdominal wall, cutting through the abdominal muscles is no fucking joke.
Oh, yes.
That is major surgery.
Mm-hmm. It's, yeah, excruciating pain. Just, you can't even stand up straight after that.
Right.
And then, and then your back starts to hurt, and it's just a whole thing. So she wakes up from surgery, and she has been fully cut open, worse than the time before. Her husband tells her that as soon as they cut her open, this is gross, there was a horrible smell from an infection, and they had to go in and remove 18 inches of intestines that were infected.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So basically, if a doctor there had taken the time to look at her medical history, they would have seen that the scar tissue and the leftover blood from the ectopic pregnancy was essentially strangling her intestines. When she went in, she had a partial obstruction, and then they left her lying there with no help, which turned into a full bowel obstruction and infection.
Just festering the whole time she laid in that
Getting
fucking bed.
worse and worse and worse. Yeah.
While being cut off from pain meds and not being fed.
Correct. Yep.
Great.
When the doctor...
Man, I hope she got a good payout.
I don't think she sought one. Well, we'll get to that. We'll wrap this up. When the doctor who saved her the previous year from the ectopic pregnancy found out what had happened, she said that it is very common to have scar tissue that causes issues, and that if anyone had taken the time to look at her medical history, it would have been obvious right away what was going on. Like as soon as she was admitted. Duh.
Like this is a known fucking thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Stacy believes that a diagnosis of Crohn's disease meant that nobody had to do anything, and the doctors were all still free to go on their vacation and leave her in the care of inexperienced recent graduates.
Babies.
She was able to go home after a month in the hospital, where she did end up making a full recovery. Her and Jason went on to have a daughter that they named Emerson and a son they named Wyatt.
Oh,
I know. She felt conflicted about filing a suit because of the ectopic pregnancy. Like that doctor saved her life, and she was grateful for that.
But that wasn't the doctor that ruined her.
No, it wasn't. She might have, and that's just not public. Yeah. Here is a quote from the Harvard Medical Journal. With almost no experience, newly graduated medical students entering teaching hospitals around the country every July, beginning their careers as interns. At the same time, the last year's interns and junior residents take a step up and assume new responsibilities. It's important to note that the July effect is just a theory and has not been proven with data, but it's still a known. It's still a known thing. Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like how they're like, well, you know, that whole thing about ERs and the full moon is just like an old wives' tale, and it's like, fuck off, it's real. Have you worked in an ER? Yeah,
I'm just telling all those chaos kids, just bubble wrap yourself for the month of July, or make sure
careful. Yep.
You know which hospital in your community is not a teaching hospital.
Not a teaching hospital in July.
Mm-hmm.
Holy
That's the July effect,
sister. Holy shit.
What the fuck?
The more you know.
Mm-hmm.
The more you know.
The more you know.
Well, that wasn't as much of a bummer as I thought it would be. Nobody died.
She lived. She had 2 babies. Yeah.
Good.
All is good.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Well, thank you for that, sister.
You're
welcome.
Actually,
I am glad to know about the July effect. I did not know about that.
I didn't either. Yeah. I guess I'm glad to know. Although it is July. Yeah. So like everyone.
It is July. So everybody just stay home. Just stay home. Don't eat anything expired. You know what I'm saying?
For sure. Yeah.
Well, sister, we did it.
We sure did.
I'm so proud of us.
Samesies.
We're on all the things still. I keep saying this.
Listen, we'll get there.
We're working on it.
Yeah. We need a new infrastructure in place before we demolish the old one, I think.
Yeah, we're still working on that. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
The Chaos Kids Club is tried and true, though. That's been there. It's not going anywhere. You can always find us there. Patreon.com.
Yes, $5 a month gets you a bonus episode every month. And we do virtual wine nights every once in a while. And the newest episode drops a day early over there.
That's right.
Also, you can just join the Patreon as a member without paying, and then you can see the stuff we post that is not behind the paywall. And considering that we keep talking about moving over there for everything, that would be a good place to go if you want to see our pictures and stuff once, all the other stuff goes away. So send us an email, crimewineandchaos@gmail.com. Amber will read your love letters. I'll read your hate mail. And we love to hear from you.
Yeah, we do. Give us a review. If take a moment, preferably on Apple or whatever platform you listen on. Slap a little review on there. We'll even read it on the show like we did.
If it's really good, we will.
Yeah. Sister, I love you.
I love you too. That was super chaotic.
Fucking chaotic. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. Crime, Wine, and Chaos is produced by 8th Direction Records. Artwork by Joshua M. Davis. Music by Paul Abner. If you would like to support the show, you can visit our Patreon page at crimewineandchaos.com/Patreon. Cheers. Okay, hold on. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it so good.